Good morning. Hope everyone's doing well. Welcome to today's edition of Tip Off. I've got two items off the shoot I want to just bring up before we dig into the various topics today. First off, I'm getting a ton of emails from people, a lot of correspondence, a lot of questions about things. On Locke, Ask Locke. I really have no way to get back to you on those, so just understand that. But I also am getting some questions, guys, I can't answer. Like, I just got a question from Dalen and Sandy. What are your thoughts on Davis, Veterans, and Robin Benzing? Both Euros, both seem like long athletic shooters. I don't know who they are. I guess they're early second round guys, and truthfully, I admire you for knowing who they are. Realize I don't watch any college. I've never seen these European guys except for the film I'm getting and the tapes I'm getting right now. I'll put them on the list. I put together a Jan Vesely video for you. I'm working on Jonas Vala, whatever his name is, who's supposed to be a top five pick right now. They take some time, and I'll do my best to get through as many players as I can prior to now and June 23rd. So just be aware if you sometimes I don't have my knowledge. I think you guys think my knowledge base is far wider than it actually is. Second thing, totally personal here, but that's why I love kind of our interaction. I spent much of the night last night trying to find a place to stay near Bryce Canyon, coming from Salt Lake. My kids really want to go, and I thought we would hike in Bryce for a day and then bike in Red Canyon for a day. And I think that leaves me in Panguitch, but some of those places, frankly, looked a little scary. So if anyone has any good experiences with a place to stay out there, let me know. Feel free to just drop it on my email at dlock@utahjazz.com, or if you want to on Twitter at LockedOnSports, or via Facebook, whatever it might be. All right, let's check on the various items on tip-off today. RSL, this is your day. It's CONCACAF Day. Hopefully they can pull it off, and I'm trying to follow it and at least not be totally ignorant, because it's not a sport I follow or understand. I could tell you nothing about personnel in this thing. I think it's interesting what Monterey's mindset will be. I guess they're in the midst of their playoffs. They've not been playing particularly well, and they're in the midst of their playoffs. And so what's their level of focus and attention to this one, I think is going to be interesting. And then I guess the second angle of interest is, how does RSL decide to play, in the sense that the way that the rulings, for those of you who are like me and aren't huge followers, they tied 2-2. So if they were to tie 1-1 or draw 0-0, they advance. Now, I will tell you, I think soccer's got to get rid of that rule. Why not just have an overtime period or a shoot-off? And fine, there's some slight disadvantage because it happens on one team's home turf, but to some extent there's a disadvantage anyway of having frankly the second half of the game at home. So best of luck. Hopefully the weather will hold. Right now it's gorgeous and freezing, and that place can be rocking. It's a beautiful stadium, and hopefully everybody has the night they expect, and similar to the way we felt about Jimmer, I think let's keep this thing going for a while. Last night, I hope you watched some of the NHL. We all know where Versus Channel is, so we have an advantage on everybody else. But the Flyers game was kind of a blowout. But boy, the second and third periods of the Canucks Blackhawks game was amazing, and it was interesting because even if you didn't know a lot about the players, the fact that you just had this number one seeded team was the big favorite, who clearly was tight and on the ropes, and the Blackhawks suddenly tilted the ice in their advantage, and then scored on a shorthanded goal with about 45 seconds left, or maybe a minute left to go to overtime before Vancouver won. So pretty awesome. The NHL, it just does not have the national pull, and it's truly very similar to baseball, where its local TV numbers are fabulous, its national TV numbers are awful. But it's different than baseball in the sense that it's an incredibly great event live, and baseball is struggling with live attendance. And the NBA is much more of a national stars event with league players such as Kobe and LeBron and Wade, where the NHL, Sidney Crosby, Patrick Kane, those guys haven't resonated. Speaking of Kobe last night, I'm not a big Kobe lover, but it certainly did remind me last evening of watching Jordan. And watching Jordan in the final stages, where you had to watch every night because you knew there weren't going to be that many left, and yet you also knew he had something up his sleeve. And I don't care whether Kobe faked the injury or not, regardless of the injury, at his age, with the amount of minutes he's played in his career, to put on that kind of performance, those two hammer dunks with just such empathetic vigor that changed the game last night are everything that is Kobe. He's truly one of the great, great players that's ever played in this game. And I think he reminded you that last night. And for that reason, the Lakers are just going to be hard to knock out. Now, New Orleans is not very good. Reggie Miller said it really well last night that the Lakers are off and their window is smaller, and the fact that New Orleans is pushing them tells you all you need to know. On that front, I think there's an interesting thing going on with point guards. Russell Westbrook the other night took 30 shots. Derrick Rose advanced last night, but Rose and Westbrook are not distributing the ball, whereas Chris Paul truly is the point guard that's still making his teammates better. He's going to get knocked out, but it's going to be interesting to see where Westbrook and Rose are able to go in this playoffs. Both those teams, in many ways, I think could be the favorites. Particularly Chicago playing Atlanta or Orlando is going to be so much easier than Boston and Miami just beating the crap out of each other. And I think the idea you still need your point guard to distribute and set people up as this primary objective rather than distributing the basketball, rather than primary objective of being scoring. And that's clearly where Westbrook and Rose are. Is they are scorers first, and it will be. I'm curious to keep an eye on that throughout this playoff picture and how that evolves. Tonight's going to be fascinating. Tim Duncan goes back on the floor. He could not have been worse, but really Kobe couldn't have been worse in Game 5. And you wonder, what does Timmy have up his sleeve? And frankly, if San Antonio can get the one road win tonight in Memphis, getting Memphis back Game 7 in San Antonio, I think San Antonio survives. And then maybe it's a little bit of a new series. Manu gets a little bit healthier, and maybe that team can put it together. But also, if San Antonio were to fail tonight, it changes a lot of ways they've been looked at all year. They were really looked at as the future team, the one big four wings, playing Jefferson at the power forward at times, shooters all around, European style, evolving through the NBA, changing the NBA. Teams going to try to have to mimic that because it's easier to get that than to get another big. And if they just get physically pounded tonight the way they have throughout this series, and the way that you really have seen Memphis pound them. Excuse me, by the way, tonight is a Game 5, and so they still have a Game 6 in Memphis. The way they've been just physically pounded by Randolph and Gasol, if they have those problems in either tonight or in Game 6, I think people start to take that model and throw it away, and it really should fall straight under the D'Antoni model because it's the same thing Phoenix was doing. While they definitely have more of a defensive influence or defensive focus, it's not a defense that San Antonio has played very well all year long. Final thing I wanted to just bring up, Ron Artest won the Walter J. Kennedy Citizenship Award, and I think it's wonderful. Too often we just want to tear these guys down. Too often we want to label them as crazy. Too often we want to never forgive them for what they've done. But the fact is, Ron Artest truly has done more charity work, citizen work than any player in the NBA this year. And the work he's done is in an area that is taboo, mental health, and he has major mental health issues. There's a backstory that I was hoping to get him to tell us this year about how much therapy he was going through prior to the event at the Palace where he gets in the fight, how he actually was following some of his doctor's orders when that thing erupted, and he was trying to take care of one of his primary issues, and since has been open about it. I admire him for that. It's a very taboo. It's something nobody wants to be open about, that they have mental health issues, but it's a disease, no different than cancer or something else, and people should not be stigmatized for it. And Ron Artest is doing a lot of positive things in that regard. And I was disappointed both last year during the NBA final, after the NBA finals, when he came forward and thanked his psychiatrist, and secondly when he came forward this year when he wins this award and people start kind of mocking, oh well, Steven Jackson next, or whom. I think you got to stop and just take a minute and look at this guy and look at the shoes he's in and the world he's lived in, the experiences he's had, and look what he's doing with it. And I think admire it. I really do. So tip of the hat to Ron Artest. All right, that's today's tip-off. The Jan Vesely video is up there if you haven't seen it yet. I'm working on a new one for Jonas, whatever his name is, and we'll have that for you hopefully this afternoon or tomorrow. Bye, YouTube. Sorry I didn't close the window. It's too nice out. It's beautiful. It's not snowing. It's gorgeous out today. See you.